you said you have been playing this for like 15 years, right?
Yes. So, well, technically, I've been into fighting games since I was 10, so that's like 25 years.
Okay.
But my first fighting game was like Mortal Kombat 4 and Marvel vs. Capcom 1. I don't remember which came first.
Okay.
So back then, like I knew that I loved these games and I would play against the CPU, but I didn't know what competitive gaming was. I didn't know that combos are intentional things you do yourself.
Right.
And then I started playing Tekken with like some friends, and even then we didn't understand the right way to play Tekken. Like you can make your own combos. Sidestepping is like a real thing. We thought, okay, sidestepping is just a thing that exists.
Right.
We didn't know that sidestepping is something intentional you do to counter some stuff. And then Street Fighter 4 came out in 2009, and that was the resurgence of the FGC and basically the start of fighting game esports.
Okay.
And it brought a lot of new people into the FGC. So I wasn't new; I was a casual player. So I would like to say I became competitive, but not really, because I used to. Well, after Street Fighter 4 came out, I started understanding fighting games, but I wouldn't say I was competitive or I tried to be good.
Okay.
I was just playing to have fun, but I used to understand, okay, if I knock my opponent down, I can do either this low or an overhead or a throw, and they have to guess between that. But I didn't understand the concept of frame data or when I should respect my opponent, because if my opponent would do something to me which would leave them plus, which means I still have to take the pressure,
Right.
I started just mashing. I was like, I don't care, bro, whatever, just get off me. I want to do my stuff again. And then Street Fighter 5 came out, and then I played this way with a friend, and I ended up beating him.
Right.
And he got pretty pissed at me. He was like, "You don't respect my turn," or whatever. And I was like, I was just playing for fun. I was just joking.
Okay.
And then a few years later, so I only wanted to hit gold in Street Fighter 5 because you needed that for the platinum trophy.
Okay.
So I understood my character at a casual level or an intermediate level. I got gold. I was satisfied.
Okay,
Then
cool.
the same things that happened to my friends started happening to me, where I would get mashed on and I would get frustrated. And then I finally realized, okay, I should learn the real way to play this game so that I can manipulate my opponents and then make their mash work for me. So I learned, okay, like if I do this one move with Dalsim, I'm plus. So if my opponent is a masher, after that I can punish them in this way. And if I do Dalsim's drills, which are like dive kicks, blocks, I can keep oppressing them.
Okay.
And then once I learned that, I kept like ranking up in like Street Fighter 5 ranked. And yeah, that's when like I really started having fun with Street Fighter. That okay, there is this dance that goes on between you and your opponent. And once you understand the system, then you have like a more nuanced understanding of the game, and there's more fun to be had at like a deeper level once you do that.
Right. So it's like that.
Street Fighter 6 came out.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was saying, it's a saying, right? You have to know the rules before you break them, kind of thing.
Yeah, correct. And then Street Fighter 6 came out, and then Street Fighter 6 is a step back in a lot of ways, and it's a step forward in a lot of ways.
Okay.
So I don't really love this game. I find like middling enjoyment with it. Because right now everyone kind of is at the same level. Like I would say like 80% of the master level players feel like they're on the same playing field, even though there's like big differences in their MR. Because it feels like the system mechanics of this game are so oppressive.
Right.
That sometimes you just get lucky and you get a win.
Right.
Like that dance is kind of gone.
Right.
Because you're not outplaying your opponent. Like if I drive rush at you, and so what happens in high level is when you drive rush at someone, right? Let's say you're full screen, you're drive rushing at them. Drive rush is fast, but it's not invincible.
True.
You can check it, as in like while I'm approaching you, you can press a button and then get a combo on me while I'm rushing at you.
Right.
So good players will do that. But what I can do is there are certain specials that take you back, or they stop your momentum, and then they hit you. And while you're drive rushing, instead of doing a normal, you can also do a special.
Okay.
So let's say you drive rushing me at full screen. I'm ready. I'm like, okay, when he gets close to me, this Marisa gets close to me, I'm going to hit my back medium kick and go into combo to punish his drive rush.
Okay.
This is free. I practice this. But what I don't realize is I'm ready mentally for that. I pressed my back medium kick when I wanted to,
Mm-hmm.
but in the middle of your drive rush, you went into a charge gladius. So you stopped. You stopped in the middle of the screen.
True.
Your forward momentum stopped, and I just whiffed a back medium kick. So my character does the back medium kick. After the back medium kick happens, I'm in some recovery frames
Right.
where I can't block.
True.
And then your drive rush, which should have been punished by my back medium kick, your gladius is now punished my drive rush check. So I get punished for trying to be good.
Yeah, makes sense. I've heard that a lot of people don't like the drive meter.
Yeah, because at high level it's fine because so when top players play, right, they expect each other to be at the best level. So if the combo I taught you, right, it's safe on block,
Right.
but there is a gap in between where the opponent, I believe, can perfect parry you.
Yeah.
So if you were to do this on Daiko, he would perfect parry you, and then once he shows you that he can perfect parry you, you basically have to change this combo. You can't do this combo on him again
True.
because he'll perfect parry you every time if he sees that you only know this one combo.
True.
So, but you have to be like a world class level to do that because, like, let's say I practice this, but I only get like my perfect parry half the time. That's not really worth it. So. Yeah, so it basically the system mechanics are very oppressive, but they're not unbeatable. But the requirement to beat them requires you to be much better than the player you're playing against.
Okay.
And most players who are like at the intermediate level, because I wouldn't say I'm good at this game, I am intermediate at this game. I understand it, but I haven't put in the time to practice and be good. So I'm not one of those people that will like, if you do this combo on me, I'll perfect parry you.
Okay.
I'm not. So for me, like, the obstacle to beating my opponent is I have to deal with the system mechanics, which means I have to guess correctly because I can't react. I haven't practiced the right punishes. So all I'm left with is just block and guess on defensive situations. And many of my opponents also have to deal with that. They are also struggling against the system mechanics because they haven't practiced. Because in my MR, like my opponent is the same, around the same skill level I am.
Right.
So they also have to get oppressed by the system mechanics, defend, and then hope that they guess right on defense. So sometimes it just comes down to luck where they just tap perfect parry for the sake of it. I like tap parry for the sake of it, get a perfect parry, and then punish me and kill me. Or sometimes I'll accidentally perfect parry them, the screen freezes, I'm like, okay, cool, I get a free combo, and then I end up winning.
Okay.
Or they go for throw loops where they keep throwing me till I guess right.
Right.
And
Yeah.
let's say they go for 4 throws, and then I expect a 5th, and they don't do the 5th, and they do a combo instead. I die.
Yeah. I've been there too many times.
Yeah. So yeah, basically the system mechanics kind of dilute the game at an intermediate level.
Okay.
So this is less interactive between me and my opponent than Street Fighter 5 was or Street Fighter 4 was. But at the top level, this might be actually deeper and more complex than those two games were. So this might be a case where the pro players are enjoying more, and the players in Iron and Silver also are enjoying more.
Yeah,
because you're not getting perfect parried. You're not the worst thing you have to deal with is DI.
Right.
But at the high level, DI is like the best mechanic, the most fair mechanic in the game.
Right.
So your experience might be completely opposite.
And
But at the
I would assume
intermediate level
it is
where
also
this
good
game
for
is
the
hardest.
audience. No?
Yeah, it is.
Like imagine someone's
Yes,
on like
because-
10% and then the match gets turned around.
Yeah, but you don't see DI happen that way. The way DIs happen is one or two ways. Okay, so one, the DI will only happen when it's guaranteed. So if the opponent is in burnout, so I know that they can't DI back, and they don't have meter for invincible supers, or they don't have invincible super,
Right.
then DIs happen at high level. Or the other ways DI happen is they happen randomly when the opponent doesn't expect it.
Right.
So that when the random DI happens, then people do get excited. But these comeback DIs or like anime moments DIs don't happen is because people always have this thought in their mind where that I have to do pressure or combos where I am DI safe.
Right.
So I will only use moves that are cancelable to specials,
Right.
which makes them also cancelable to DI.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm using only those moves, then if you do happen to DI me, then I can DI back.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah, so that's how top players play. This is why it's a fair mechanic, because if someone at the top level does DI
Mm-hmm.
at a bad time, then the defender has the option to DI back. Also, there's one more area where you can DI.
Mm-hmm.
So you can only DI back if you have enough health to absorb the DI damage.
True. Okay.
So yeah, so if you're like 1 HP and I DI you, even if you DI back, you're losing
Right. True.
because the damage absorption.
Yeah, the damage gets done, and then you counter.
Correct. So in that way, DI is also a very good strategic offensive mechanic where any other time I wouldn't randomly DI you because at my level, like the opponent will DI me back and I need a full combo.
Mm-hmm.
But if I see that, okay, you're one hit away from losing,
Mm-hmm.
then I start spamming DIs.
Okay.
Or like when I start blocking, I become a platinum player. Like during my block, I'll just be spamming DIs. Okay, what are you going to do? I want you to DI back. I want you to DI back. But there's also counterplay there. Really good players will just parry them instead of like fighting their muscle memory and then doing DI back because they've practiced DIing back for hundreds of hours. They'll like mentally make a note, okay, if I see a DI, I cannot DI back, I will parry. So if they hold parry, then they're fine.
Okay.
So, yeah, DI is a really good mechanic at high level. At low level, it's the worst mechanic in the world.
Okay, makes sense. And I saw that. I don't know if it was you, but I just wanted to ask you. I was looking at like last year's World Warrior qualifiers, and I saw that. Was that you who was casting? Like one of the casters?
I didn't do much last year. I believe I did the first two only, and then the next three and the finals were others. I believe in the first one I did like 3 events. So it was like 3 in 2023 and then 2 in 2024.
Okay.
But yeah, I've been on stream before.
Okay, cool. I just remember seeing your name somewhere there. So I was like, okay.
Yeah. So the guy who won in 2023, Ionic,
Right.
I did his winners interview. So he was in the news
Okay.
for a couple of reasons, some good, some bad. And then people put my clip there of the winners interview. So you might have seen me there. I don't know. But yeah, sometimes I commentate. I mostly do like hitbox stuff.
Okay.
People who want like level-less controllers.
Okay.
There's this cheap brand out there called Hot 42
Okay.
that makes really cheap but really good level-less controllers.
Okay.
But they're based out of China, so people can't order them in India.
Okay.
So what I do is, because I live in the UAE, like if somebody wants it, I buy it for them, and then when I travel to India, I ship it to them.
Okay, cool. Makes sense.
Yeah, and I do some like hitbox artwork. So I've done like fight stick artwork for people.
Okay, that's sick.
Yeah, so that's why my like passion is been for the past year. Like the game is fine. Like I like the game. I don't love it.
The hitbox is your
I hate
main.
it as much. Yeah, hitboxes, because like back in like 2009 to 2013, we used to play on arcade sticks, and they're very expensive.
Right.
I was in UAE, then I was in US, so their purchasing power is okay. Like it's still expensive, but it's not that expensive. But from an Indian perspective, they're super expensive, like 20,000-30,000 sometimes.
Yeah.
Without customs. With customs, it goes up to 40K.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unrealistic for people to own arcade sticks.
No,
Current fighting games are really friendly for controllers. Controllers might actually be the best input method to play them, but controllers break easily.
True.
Hitbox and keyboards are like a happy medium. And this company makes really cheap hitboxes, which is like, they go from like 4,000 to 7,000 on average.
Okay.
Indian rupees, which is like a fair price for a lot of Indian folk.
Yeah, true.
So, but because it's from China, it's inaccessible. So I felt that was unfair. So it's like a good way of people to buy these controllers if they love or if they want to try.
And speaking of China, right? We are like almost same in population at this point, right? But China has like this humongous fighting game community. But in India, we don't have that kind of community, right? So like, why the difference basically? What do you think from your experience?
Well, I could answer why India does not have one, but I can't really answer why China does have one. If that makes
Whatever
sense.
is your whatever are thoughts on this, basically?
Okay, so a lot of scenes where you wouldn't expect there to be a fighting game presence have a fighting game presence because they happen to luck upon cheap or official arcade machines. So for
Okay.
example, Pakistan, China, and Brazil, or South America in general,
Right.
they have a huge KOF scene or SNK scene. So what might have happened, I believe, is that during the arcade era, like during the 90s and early 2000s, where the best way to play fighting games was in the arcades, and arcades were like still like a viable business where you can have people come in and like spend money and make a profit.
Right.
I believe companies like Capcom or like other arcade companies, they either didn't serve these regions or they did, but they were super expensive. And SNK was like a cheaper alternative. So I believe SNK had a foothold in these areas and they were able to set up arcade machines there. And because of these arcade machines, there was a like a SNK fighting game culture there.
Okay.
And SNK makes 2D fighting games. So if you grew up playing 2D fighting games, it's easier to transition to other 2D fighting games like Street Fighter.
Okay.
So I know for a fact that's why Pakistan has a good SNK scene.
I guess that makes sense, right? I haven't seen. In fact, I haven't seen any arcades, I think, growing up, except one. I think that was my first and probably the only experience playing a fighter game. There was a local Kirana shop. They had an old, even for that time, they had like an old arcade. And in that time, I didn't even know what the game was, right? I just used to go to the shop and be like, buy a token, right? I used to call it the token game. And then I later found out that was Tekken, only because I remember King, because there's no way you are forgetting King once you see him, basically.
Yeah, if you've seen King or Yoshimitsu, you won't forget them.
Yeah. So after that, I
believe
haven't seen
Chennai
any arcade.
used to have a arcade scene. Like my friends from Chennai tell me Chennai used to have an arcade scene. I grew up in the north as a kid, and I wasn't into gaming till I moved to Mumbai.
Right.
And in Mumbai, I never saw an arcade. I did visit Chennai for a little bit as a child, and I did see an arcade in Chennai. So Chennai did have an arcade culture. India had a healthy Tekken scene, I believe. It still might. Like Tekken 8 is in a weird spot.
I think I saw someone. I think two people went to what? I forgot what the tournament was. I'm following this Indian Esports page, and they were posting about 2 Indian players making it to top 8 of a tournament. I forgot what it was.
Nice. Yeah, even our Street Fighter players have traveled in the past. Well, traveling for tournaments is super expensive, man.
Yeah.
But yeah, I believe the reason Tekken got popular in countries outside of Korea and Japan. So Korea and Japan was because of the arcades. Other countries, it was because there was this like PlayStation 1 modding scene, okay, where you can easily mod your PlayStation 1 and just buy like bootleg CDs and play games. So people would buy a PlayStation 1 from foreign countries, bring them to India, mod them, and set up like these gaming shops or gaming parlors.
Right.
It was like an arcade, but it's just like a console.
Right.
And because it's like very exotic, right? Like PlayStation in India back in the day.
Right.
So you would just like pay the guy 30 rupees an hour or something and then play like PlayStation 1, model PS1s with your friends.
Right.
So that's where I first saw Tekken. I saw Tekken 3 at a gaming parlor in Ghaziabad, Uttar Pradesh.
Okay.
When I was 6 or 7. And the word of mouth was so strong that my cousin, or like he's my mama. My mama said, "Hey, Pratik, I'll show you Tekken." I'm like, "What is Tekken?" He's like, "No, it'll blow your mind. Just look at it." And he took me to this parlor and showed me Tekken 3 on a PS1.
Okay.
And then we just like butter mashed against each other. But yeah, Tekken used to be back in the day. If you owned a console, you needed to own a Tekken just to show off the graphical capabilities of your console.
Right.
That's why Tekken got super popular. I believe that's why it got super popular in India and abroad, because it was like the casual game that a casual person would buy. Later that moved on to MK, like that throne went to MK, but used to be Tekken back in the day.
Okay, makes sense. Basically, what we need to do is start a GoFundMe and create arcades in every city.
No. Fighting games are much better now. Actually, there's a lot of fighting game players in India. They're just disparate, like they're in different states,
Right.
and they play different games.
No, I'm talking about
So there
I'm
is,
talking
like-
about indoctrinating kids into fighting game.
No, this guy Laxlight, right? He's like doing he's like at least in the south, he's doing like a lot of tournaments and stuff.
Okay, nice.
So he's getting a lot of. So the way he has found his niche is there's a lot of anime fans in the south,
Right,
a lot of weeaboos.
right.
So they like to support anime conventions.
Right.
So what he's done is he's married anime conventions with fighting games.
Okay.
So instead of like just targeting gamers in general, he's targeting anime fans and converting them into fighting games.
This sounds like how cults work, you know. You're like, okay, come to this place. Are you interested in a lot of
No, but it's actually a decent strategy because
No, it is. That's what I'm saying.
all gamers, like your random like mobile BGMI player is not likely to convert into a fighting game player, but your anime goer, right? These games, like the best fighting games are made in Japan.
Right.
They have like a lot of Japanese tropes like kunoichis and like hands
Right.
and like ninjas and stuff. And there's a lot of crossover. Like anime has like Street Fighter references inside the anime,
Right.
and then there are literally anime fighting games like JoJo's has a fighting game.
Right.
Naruto has one. Dragon Ball has one.
I think Hunter
there's
also
a lot
has one, I think, as well.
Yes, correct. Hunter x Hunter just came out. Yeah, that has one too. And then even Marvel's coming up with one.
Yeah,
I don't know if you saw the
I
Marvel
saw.
2.0
So
trailer.
there are so many announcements, right? There is 2XQ from Riot, which basically
Yes.
I feel bad for, but there is Marvel Tokon, I think it's called, and then
Yeah, Tokon Fighting Souls.
and there was a new one announced, right? This one, Invincible versus.
Yeah,
And
Invincible versus as well.
I think there are like a lot of fighting games being announced. I think people saw that Street Fighter, I think, became one of the most selling games on Steam, I think. And
Yeah, it's currently the most popular fighting game in the world by a mile. Like, there has never been such a disparity between a popular fighting game and the next. Actually, no, that's not correct. I mean, in the modern era, there has
Smith
never
Williams,
been.
thank you so much for the follow. Hoping have a nice day. Thank you for dropping in. How's the day going? Yes, I'm listening. Yeah.
It's popular by a mile, but there's a caveat to that. Okay, so anytime on Steam, you'll see like 20,000, 25,000 people on Street Fighter. But when Japan sleeps, you'll see like 5,000 people.
Right, true. And you can tell them, right? You can bring in people into anime convention and tell them, hey, if you get good at this, you might get to go to Evo Japan. You never know.
Yeah, I mean that's the meme, right? Like you get good at this, you have a chance at $1 million. But Street Fighter 5, like props to them. They were the Street Fighter 6, props to them. They were the first fighting game to do that. But now it's become like kind of like a hip thing to do in the community. Like SNK is doing it. Ultra Fighter is not doing quite $1 million, but they're doing something close. So now it doesn't feel that special anymore. But yeah, the first fighting game to ever do like $1 million, because when I was growing up and I got serious into the FGC, the best you could expect as like a first place prize was like $10,000.
Right.
And that was like for winning Evo and stuff.
Okay, makes sense. So hopefully fighting game community has a bright future basically with so many games coming out. So I'm worried about my wallet because I'm like, so many good games are coming out. I want to play all of them. What am I supposed to do?
Yeah, in general, it's in my lifetime, I believe this is the best time to be a fighting game player, just in terms of the games and quality of games that they have to play. And all of them had good netcode. So you're in India, I'm in Dubai, we had 60 MS.
Right.
46, which is very, very playable.
Yeah, and like
if we were to...
And I run into players from like Japan, Australia, Malaysia, China, like most common is China basically.
Yeah, but if I go back 15 years and play Street Fighter 4 with you, then I wouldn't be able to play this game in a playable state. It'd feel like we're playing underwater.
True.
So yeah, best time to be a fighting gamer. For old players, like players who have been playing for like 15 years, it's a bit of mixed feelings because a lot of this growth and like attraction for new players has come at the cost of some complexity and some concepts that we enjoyed in older games which don't exist anymore.
Right, like modern controls.
No. Modern controls is not a like. Modern controls is optional, right? If the game is only modern controls, then yes.
Okay.
I like modern controls. Like I like it as a concept. I want it to be there in every game from now till the end of time.
Right.
Because it opens up the genre for new players. It opens up the genre for players with like physical disabilities.
Right. True.
There are a lot of players who wouldn't play Street Fighter 6 if not for modern controls.
True.
And it's you lose something and you gain something, right? So like I empathize with people who say that it's very frustrating for modern players. It's like a different game that you play. But it is also true that modern opponents is not as strong as classic opponents. We haven't had one major tournament in Street Fighter 6 that has been won by a modern player.
True.
And that is for a reason, right? So
because
I don't mind
modern gives you convenience, but at the cost of X. Basically, there are a lot of things you can't do. For example, Spartan kick for Marisa, I can't do Spartan kick, and for that I have to do classic input, and that classic input. That what I'm trying to say is I have to do classic input if I want to do that, right? So I can't do modern all the way, basically.
Yeah, you're correct. But if that was the only limitation, I would play modern because I can do classic inputs, right? So I get the best of both worlds. I get one button supers, one button DPs, and I can do classic motions. But there are other sacrifices that no matter how many inputs you can do, you'll never get. For example, there are certain normals that no matter what you do in modern, you can't access those normals.
Right.
There are certain strengths of moves. Okay, so some characters have a lot of special moves, and modern only has one special button and only 3 attack buttons. So there is no space to fit that special move in your controls. So either you don't have that special move as a modern player, or if you do have it as a shortcut, you only have one strength.
Right.
But as a classic player, I can do the light version of that move, the heavy, the medium, or the overdrive. As a modern player, you can only do the one non-overdrive version, which might be light, medium, or heavy, depending on the move and the character, or the audio version. So there might be certain combos or certain pressure situations or certain footsie situations where that could come to my advantage as a classic player, but not as a modern player.
True. I've noticed that actually. When I'll be playing I will, for example, I will be seeing, right, when I'm free, I like to watch matches, like a gameplay between tournament matches of Marisa and something like that, because I'm like, even if I'm not trying to copy them, right, I'm just trying to look at the flow of the fight. Like, when are they fighting, when are they not fighting, basically I'm trying to look at that, right? And then I realized that a lot of the things that they are doing I can't do with modern. So at the end of the day, if you want, what I feel like is, if you want to play modern, you have to have you have to be very patient, first thing, because you have less things in your toolkit. And the second thing is you have to have a very good sense of space and zoning where you are.
So if we were to let's say we make 2 AIs, okay? Like we use GPT 10.0 and make 2 perfect Daigo AI and Tokido AI. These AIs can play the game at the highest level, okay?
Right.
We give one classic inputs and one modern inputs and make them play 10 matches.
Right.
2 AIs playing perfectly, the classic one will always win over the modern one.
True.
Because there's nothing that the modern one can do that the classic one can't.
True.
But there is stuff that the classic one can do that the modern one can't.
True.
So modern has diminishing returns as an advantage at the high level, because at our level, people will say, dude, it's so frustrating to play modern because no matter when I jump, this fucker can just, sorry for swearing, this
No, it's
person
fine,
can
yeah.
just DP me with just one button,
Right.
right? But I know if he was a classic player, he does not have these reactions, he wouldn't DP me. Or this Marissa I'm playing against, this modern Marissa, man, he just keeps waiting for me to throw one fireball. I throw one fireball, he just taps his level 3 and then he does it at level 3 to me and I take big damage just for throwing a fireball.
Right.
But if you're playing against a world-class player, like a Capcom Cup winner, right? Doesn't matter if they're classic. They're doing that anyway.
Right.
He is predicting a fireball. He knows that you can't throw a fireball. So as soon as he sees one, he's doing that level 3. Doesn't matter if he's on classic. He has practiced his anti-airs for thousands of hours. It doesn't matter that he's on classic. No matter when you jump, he's going to DP you anyway, even though he's on classic.
Right.
So the advantages of modern get diminished at the highest level.
I feel like if you master classic, it's pretty easy to pick up modern. Like let's say if you're like master even on classic, it sounds insane to me when I say classic key master even like it's a low rank, but you master on classic. I feel like you can pick up any character on modern and still be cracked at it and reach like master in a few weeks.
That's not true. Because modern's control scheme is completely weird. For example, the auto button existing is the biggest hurdle for classic players to play modern. Because on classic, if I want to do a command normal or like let's say my character has a crouching medium kick, so I press down and MK on classic to do that. On modern, I might have to press auto plus medium for that normal.
Right.
That's an entirely new skill set that now you have to press. Normally, I just tap one button down and then hold it and then press the other one. Now I have to do the same thing, but it's counterintuitive as a classic player.
Okay.
So yeah, it's not that this thing. And in fact, people say that if you have been playing a classic character and you want to play modern, pick a different character. You don't want to play the same character on both modern and classic because you will mess up the wires in your brain.
Okay, makes sense. Next thing you know, after you try to go back to classic on the same character, you're like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
Correct. And especially for people like me who've been playing classic for 15 years, because Street Fighter has used this light punch, medium punch, heavy punch, light kick, medium kick, heavy kick for 15 years. Actually more than that, for 40 years since Street Fighter 2. What these buttons do in conjunction when you press two together depends on the game. So for example, medium punch with medium kick in third strike does an overhead. In Street Fighter 6 does a parry.
Okay.
So that has changed, but these 6 buttons have stayed the same. So for us, going to modern is entirely alien experience. Some characters are unplayable in modern. Like Akuma in modern is a very bad character compared to classic because he loses so much. JP in modern is a horrible character. He's really unplayable.
JPs are a bane of my existence. Okay.
Yeah, he's like a Mortal Kombat character in Street Fighter. That's what people say.
Like,
but
Marissa wants to get close and JP doesn't want me to get close.
Correct. Some characters I feel like are better in modern at the intermediate level. So I feel like Mai is really good because what she loses isn't that big compared to what she gains. The ability to like one button jump in, one button level 1, one button level 3, and even level 2, like all her supers are good. So the ability to react right away with those buttons is worth the sacrifice. Yeah, if you're like a modern Mai and you reach the top level, then classic would be better because then it doesn't matter. Like you have insane reactions, you can do insane motions in classic.
Okay, sick.
So yeah, so the thing we got into this tangent because I was talking about the things that classic fighting games have lost.
Right.
So I'll give you an example. In Street Fighter 4 and 5, parries didn't exist.
Right.
Universally. Like some characters had them, but universally you can assume they didn't exist. So what fireballs did is if you block a fireball, you lose health. So you can't infinitely block fireballs because you will die eventually. In this game, you can just stand there and fireballs pose no danger to you.
Right.
So in 4 and 5, some players would just win off their fireball game because they would only throw fireball in ranges where if you jump the fireball, they recover fast enough to DP you.
Right.
And if you've never played against that kind of player, you will basically give up. Because you're like, okay, I can't jump at this dude, I can't walk at this dude, he keeps throwing fireballs, my cat has no answers to fireballs, like I'm Zangief or something, there's nothing I can do here.
Okay.
So that
makes sense.
The throwing fireballs and the fireball game was an art, and some players were really good at that art.
Okay.
That art doesn't exist in Street Fighter 6 at least
Okay.
at this level.
Makes sense.
So things like that, because if you have the system
Mhm.
and they went against a person who's been throwing fireballs for 15 years, they're gonna have a horrible time.
Mhm.
So the game wouldn't expand its player base. So the system mechanics both help and hurt it. It helps in the sense that now more players have access to this game and they can deal with stuff like fireballs. But
Right.
it hurts in the sense that all those skills that you practice over so many years kind of become moot in
Mhm.
this game. So there's like, it's bittersweet for a lot of people. So a lot of people feel that the game is stale because they are not growing. Like it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of practice time, and people just want to go into matches and play. So
Right.
I'm one of those people. Like the limit the time I do spend on Street Fighter 6 I just end up playing matches. I don't end up practicing, so I keep hitting the same brick wall and not
Okay.
progressing. But for new players, it's a good experience because they get to catch up to players who've been playing for many years. Like
Okay.
there are players who just started in Street Fighter 6 that play as good or if not better than me, and I've been playing for many years, which is like not like a negative. That's like a good thing. Like if I have to be better than them, I have to spend the time, and I'm not doing that. So I can't expect to be better than them. It's like a new game, new system.
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah.
Anyway, my voice is
Okay.
throat is getting dry from
Yeah,
all the
yeah.
talking, so I'm gonna stop for now.
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you so much for dropping in. Thank you so much for the tips and the coaching. I'll definitely work on those, and I'll get back to you when I reach gold, obviously.
Yeah, and no problem. And don't feel frustrated if you lose because all of us do. Somebody showed a screenshot from a stream a couple of days ago
Right.
where Tokido lost to a player 700 below his MR. So MR is like ELO. Once you hit master, the ELO system's
Right.
losing to like a gold ranked chess player. Okay,
Yeah.
so it happens to everybody in this game.
Oh yeah. I just in the moment I get frustrated. I'm like, oh, fine. I don't have a problem with losing. I have a problem with me being dumb. Right. As soon as I'm done with the fight, I know how dumb I was, because as soon as I make a mistake, I realize that okay, I should have countered that. I should have I should have countered that throw. It keeps happening in my brain. I'm frustrated myself when I'm done with it.
Yeah, so you're gonna see a lot of chaotic situations. So the best thing to do over there is do nothing, just block, okay?
Yeah.
And even if you lose, it's fine. But even if you're losing, you're noticing what the opponent is doing.
Right.
So maybe you lose that match, but you'll be more prepared for the upcoming matches.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're doing too much, sometimes a lot of players lose because they do too much.
Yeah.
So just notice that okay,
Yeah.
I'm doing too much. I'm putting myself in situations where I'm losing. Next round, even if I lose, I won't do anything. I'll just be patient, and maybe you'll win.
Yeah.
And sometimes you'll notice, okay, maybe I'm being too passive. I need to do more stuff.
Yeah, that's what seems to be my problem as well. Thank you so much for dropping in, and sorry for making your voice hurt and stuff. I was just really
No,
curious.
sorry,
Right?
your fault. I just didn't hydrate myself enough today.
No.
I should drink more water.
So I was just really curious that I've recently started playing fighter games, so I was like, oh, this is the opportunity. I should pick at your brain. So that's why I was asking questions. Anyway, thank you so much for the advice. I'll work on things you have told me about, and I'll get back to you. And I feel like I've mastered those, and hopefully we can do more by the time the tournament comes around. And also, hopefully, I'll catch up to you guys. Who knows?
Yeah, and feel free to drop into IFGC and ask anybody, right? They have a lot of players who are better than me, and pretty much everyone's better than you. So advice from anybody is golden advice. So yeah, they'll be ready to help you anytime. Okay, so if I'm not available, just feel free to reach out to anybody else.
Sounds good. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, take care. Good night.
Take care. Good night. Yeah.